Having worked with Marshall McLuhan, I am a McLuhan medium. And he told me to tell you, that the obsolescence of something is not the end of it, it's just the beginning of something new. As far as the InGamer goes, when I was about 10 years old, or 12 years old, that's about 60 years ago, there was a game that I had with a little wheel that you would spin, and you would place a card on it, and each player in the the baseball league, National American League, every player had a different card, and the amount of space depended on how many singles, doubles, homers they had.
Like Stratomatic baseball or whatever it is.
Right.
Yeah.
So, it makes my point that nothing becomes obsolete.
I'm curious in the business model of Amped, what your profit, how many downloads would you need to, in other words, how many subscriptions and viewers would you need to sort of break even? And as a screen-based content producer, is there a bit of a challenge in terms of the financing model as far as accessing tax credits go, or does this qualify? It wouldn't qualify as a television show. Would it qualify as a digital media content piece? That
the tax credit people.
Yes.
Totally. We work very closely with them in terms of qualifying for digital media tax credits. This does. Are you here? No, because we've been very. Yes, in this case, though, that is not part of the financing model to make this project, but that's certainly something we've taken into consideration. In terms of what we're after, we are still thinking it's the 10% model. We're hoping that might be a bit higher. Again, we give you a taste. So you get a first episode of 10 minutes that ends with a great cliffhanger, and then you get some content for each of those activities. You're then prompted at that point, you unlock all remaining 9 episodes, and tons more content for each thing for $4.99. The big question for us has been, and I think there was 2 panels ago, it was giving things away for free. I think that as we are defining new ground here and what this is, you do have to go and put a value to these things. If we did give it away for free, we are sort of trying to establish a new model. But once you're paying, and it's interesting doing the research, once you're paying 99 cents or $4.99, yes, there is a sweet spot, but you're still paying. So we think we've identified a price that we think is fair and reasonable. And sort of on that 10% model, if we can do 1 million downloads of the app and sell 100,000, we would be pretty happy. We will consider that a success if we can do that. That's the goal.
And have you guys looked at product placement and that kind of stuff, presumably?
Certainly. With some of our other projects, we have looked at that. In this case, we had some conversations out of the gate about that. We were in a very unfortunate position, which is really cool, to not need money from people to make something.
I hate you.
And well, no, but it was a very rare thing where these brands were coming to us, but the moment you go and you give them that, then they want a piece of the control.
Yeah, right.
And so it was our decision in this case is really to use this more of a calling card to show, look, this is what we can do, this is the quality, the type of product we can deliver, and then develop new properties that we will then allow them to go and start playing with, because you could just tell it was going to be a long road. Once you get into brand sponsorship, you've added 6 months to a year just in working that out. So this was to get it to market, but in all our projects, that is the new where we're also thinking is how do we actually integrate brands in a way that's not just I'm drinking a Diet Coke. Like that's
right.
We're trying to think beyond that. We call it deep weaving.
I can't imagine you can make a good deal with brands if you don't have the traction numbers to prove anything.
Well, I mean, this is the interesting. This hit Variety yesterday, and in the States, and the emails. I mean, within 12 RCA Records and Disney have already contacted. I think companies. We premiered this at MIP in October and went around to some of the broadcasters and went into boardrooms after all these people came in and pitched TV shows. They set up the TV, put in the DVD. This is our TV show. And our CEO, Daniel Dales, walked in and just held up an app. And these boardrooms sort of, oh. And it was very clear that they admitted, look, we've been talking about doing these things. We've been trying to figure out how to do it. And you have clearly beaten us to the punch. So we're the new kid on the block probably for about 6 months here. And then I'm sure more of these are still to follow.
Ken brought up a good statement. I mean, at the end of the day, proving to a brand or proving to people the value of what you're bringing to the table. And I think the question that we struggle with all the time is, what's engagement now? Right. How do you put a dollar figure on engagement? You know, click-throughs and banner ads, they don't work. They really don't, because what you're doing with a click-through or a banner ad is telling people to go somewhere else. So great piece of content with click-throughs that an advertiser wants to pay for, but now you're diverting people from that content. That kind of doesn't really work, but what is engagement worth? Like we have an hour and 42-minute time on site. What is that worth? No one really knows yet.
Well, there's also, that it begs the question of, there's two dimensions to engagement, right? I mean, there's one of my old partners is started Fuse, which is basically an iOS publisher, but very deep analytics this way, because you have to know exactly what people are purchasing and whatever, and what they're buying, how they're buying these things. And our approach is a little different because it's broader. So the other dimension to engagement is engagement with a brand over what? Like, you are engaging with it on your TV set and then you leave, and are you re-engaging with the brand on the bus or the GO train to work? And then are you re-engaging with that brand through Facebook or Google, whatever you're doing on that thing? So it's kind of there's a depth portion to it, which I think as a lot of people thinking about it, but there's also a breadth portion, which is not click-throughs. It's just basically, what are you doing with this on what platform? So
consistent messaging. Whoever.
Yeah, and you're flipping back and forth between these screens. Like, everyone's talking about 3 screens in a cloud, and we absolutely agree that we are in the future of the cloud. We're in the cloud. But it's moving between those screens, and how people are moving between those screens, which is going to, I think, be the new metric of engagement. They're engaging with a brand across these screens through their day.
I think the interesting thing is, especially, I mean, I guess hopefully the Rogers guys, I'm sure, are thinking about this, but you know, ultimately, most of online advertising is based on the same principles as outdoor advertising, right? Like, it's kind of like you'll see it along the way to somewhere, except they have the added disadvantage to publishers of they take people away when they're really successful. And there's no measure of, you know, if I sit there and stare for an ad for 5 minutes, or if I don't even see it, cost is kind of the same. And so I think if people are spending an hour and 40 minutes in your world, monetizing that could be a really interesting opportunity. Of course, it's probably not going to be an IAB format, right?
That's what the biggest challenge. The biggest challenge is how to sell it.
Right.
And let's face it, I mean,
or what it is that you're selling.
Exactly. And advertising agencies still like their 30-second commercials.
Right.
You know, is that really where the value is anymore? Hopefully there's no advertising agencies here, because I don't think so.
Cool. Any other questions?
I think someone.
Sorry, you're right under the lights. I couldn't.
Yeah,
sorry.
hiding away here. Moving away from the broadcast model, and as these examples demonstrate that, other than viral, how do you see, or how are you building audience?
Well, I think for social games, viral is a component. It's not as easy as it used to be. You really do have to work hard on incentivizing players in our game to invite other players. So we're basically probably putting together something like a in-game pyramid scheme to have people invite others, and the more they play, the more value you get out of that invitation.
Or unlock certain features that you can pay for if you recruit 20 people.
So you have to get creative about how to get people to bring their friends in and play the game and reward them accordingly. And but I think it is getting to a point where there's just kind of a saturation of just so many things that they could be doing rather than playing your game. So there's the trick is not, the acquisition can always be purchased. What you have to figure out is once you've got them in the front door, how do you keep them engaged? How do you keep them within your game or within your app or within your content? And that's really what should be focused on. It's easy to buy. You pay enough, you'll get somebody in the front door. And as long as they stick around long enough to pay you back at least that amount or more, hopefully a lot more, then you're good to go.
Yeah, I mean, for us, I think audiences, from our perspective, users really like to engage with whether it's personalities, like famous people. They like to be able to feel like they can touch and feel a celebrity. So, for example, for us in sports, if we can get athletes or personalities to participate in the experience, the users are going to be that much more excited to come in. So, for example, Damon Allen is going to be playing throughout the football season or the football playoffs. So for Canadian football fans, that gives them something kind of cool where they can come in, they can see how they're doing against Damon. Or if you have a personality from one of the broadcasters who says, I'm going to go and play this game, whether it's on radio, they can talk about it in the middle of the day. Come tonight, I'm going to play Sportsnet InGamer. And then the audience who hears that during the radio can come back at night and create that bigger bridge with the personality and with the brand themselves and kind of feel something where, hey, I'm going to beat Jeff Merrick today, or whoever that personality happens to be. So I think that viral and broadcast are still very kind of important, but viral, it's so unpredictable. I mean, I think for startups, like I'd love to be able to build a business on the virality of what's going to happen, but no smart business person can really just predict that is going to happen. So I think you need to really think through how are you going to get people there without having to either pay lots and lots of money to get them there or rely on other people to tell them to get there.
Well, there are only three ways. I mean, across all the screens, there's only three ways to basically to make money. Three sort of genus there, which is people either pay for it straight, and in that sense, I would say that we're always moving towards microtransactions. People are more, the asymptote here is people want to pay for exactly what they want, when they want, for as long as they want it, in the format they want it. And then the other way is obviously to be like a secondary source of revenue, to be advertised to accept your, to give your information away or whatever, to sell a piece of you. That's how you can make money. And the other one is to generate revenue through evangelism. So people can be useful by recruiting. This is where your virality comes in, which is if I get 4 of my friends, I get something of value for ostensibly for free. But what I've done is, so those are the three basic ways. And I would suggest that all of them now are becoming much, much, much more focused on the just I'm going to pay money. These are not huge purchases. Like I think it's very good what you've done with the like the price point there, the little bite-sized chunks, and God knows my kids have bought tons of these cookie-making things for like 99 cents. It's killed me, these bills. But these bite-sized chunks for the paid content, but the other one, the virality stuff as well. It can be monetized.
Smurf berries.
Smurf
Oh.
berries. I know. Who knew?
Yeah.
All right, time for one last question, if there are any. I think one thing that you mentioned last night that you haven't touched on, I think it's really interesting, is how, which ties to this question, is how you're drawing in a lot more women sports fans who would traditionally not be in the sort of fantasy league. And so I think that's a really interesting thing in and of itself, in that a lot of these sort of new environments or new tools create actually brand new audiences that didn't exist, right?
Well, that's it. Like, females love sports, but all of these hardcore experiences have been very scary for them because they get intimidated about if they don't know every single player and every single game and every single stat, but they still love the experience of stats. So if you make something easy where someone can enter an experience without having any prior knowledge, they're going to be more willing to come and do it. And once they do it, what's cool, what we like, is you actually learn more about the sports themselves once you're actually playing, because you're just watching. You don't actually have to do anything. You just sit back and watch the game. And that's really kind of our whole point, is making it as easy and as casual, which is important.
Well, even on a more sort of mainstream gaming perspective, like 55% of gamers are women.
Yeah.
With the democratization of content across these different platforms, you just have these different opportunities. Many people answering a survey said, no, I don't play games, but I play Rock Band, right? Or I don't play games, but I play solitaire, right? So I think that the engagement of the female demographic in these three screens is absolutely key. And that's where all your successes are in talking about Smurf berries and whatever, like the opening up in the social media window to 500 million Facebook users. Right. Many of those are women.
And then I think for us, I think we are unisex, and I do think we skew a bit older. But if you go and you search for apps specifically targeted at tween girls right now, some really crappy fingernail painting games, and design a bear. So we've tried to. I think we've identified a hole in the market that hopefully we can reach.